Cozy games are meant to be the ultimate level of comfort. Whether you farm or fish or thirst after your favorite NPCs, it's an open world where the only goal is to achieve your own version of success. But when you're Black, that comfort hits differently. Because in real life, we don't always get to be soft. Being Black myself and a longtime lover of cozy games, I often questioned why I was so drawn to these sorts of games versus adventure or platform experiences. I have fond memories of laying under the blanket, playing Animal Crossing on my Nintendo DS, and staying up all night to play The Sims 2 and The Sims 3 on console, and boy, if Sims 2 for console did not feel like a fever dream. So today, I want to pose a theory. Is our fascination with this genre simply about escapism, or is it about rewriting a world that simply just lets us exist? There are a plethora of cozy games out there, such as Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon, Coral Island, and The Sims. I'm going to mostly be referencing The Sims and Coral Island in this video, and while I do know that Coral Island is a fairly new game on the market, it does have the same heartbeat and breadth as other cozy farm simulation games, and well, it's the only one that I own out of all of them. Gotta get B-roll somehow. When it comes to Black women and these cozy games, I would argue that there is a lot of reasons why we gravitate towards this niche specifically. Let's start with character creation. Some of these games offer more aesthetic features than others, but each of these games have their own character creation system. You can make whoever you'd like to, but a lot of people gravitate towards self-inserting in one way or another. Instead of having a main protagonist set in stone, you get to choose things like their name, their gender, their hair color, and their eye color. There is a strong argument to be had that there's not nearly enough diversity and options within these games, but it's still possible to achieve something that resembles what we see in the mirror. One franchise that nails diversity the most accurately, albeit pretty limited on its own, is The Sims. The first installment of The Sims was released in 2001, and it is now on its 11th year in the 4th iteration of The Sims 4. I want to make it perfectly clear that I do not endorse financially supporting electronics in any way, since the company is now supported by people that I do not have an interest in financially supporting. But if you own these games already, or you can obtain them through alternative means, and I will definitely leave it up to the imagination what I mean by that, these games are pioneers for diversity and inclusion. While The Sims 1 and The Sims 2 did not have a vast amount of skin tones and hair textures, it requires some grace because it's a sign of the time period that it came out. However, The Sims 3, released in 2009, offered a color wheel, which meant that you could create any skin tone that you wanted. And The Sims 4, released in 2014, now offers color sliders so you can get a mostly accurate depiction of what black and brown skin looks like. There are also many options for different hair textures. You cannot talk about any character creation in the Sims game without mentioning the vast and talented mod and custom content community. There are endless options for clothes, skin tones, hair, and the likes. So many Black people have poured their hearts into making assets that can allow you to make yourself or anyone that you know. We mod ourselves into these games because it lets us see a version of ourselves in a soft way, or any other way that we choose to present ourselves. And the modding community fills in a lot of gaps that The Sims 4 and subsequent installments leave. You see, most Black people have the universal experience of being born into a society where you are treated as an afterthought at best and actively oppressed at worst. In 1945, psychologists Kenneth and Mamie Clark ran a series of tests called the Doll Study, where they sat down young children, both integrated and non-integrated, in front of a black and white doll. They would ask questions like, which doll is good? Which doll is bad? Which doll is pretty? And which doll looks the most like you? The overwhelming majority of Black children labeled the white doll as good and the black doll as bad and ugly. Children as young as the age of 4 not only knew what race was, but also knew that people that looked like them were regarded as less than. And the ripple effect of that can still be felt to this day. This study was done again in 2016 on young Black and brown children in Italy with the same results as the 1945 study. I didn't want to have to date this back to segregation, but I didn't want to mention the most recent and relevant study without paying homage to its origins. The way that Black and brown children see themselves does not come out of nowhere. It is in response to how they observe and process the hierarchy of their environment. It's easy to see that Black people are often shoehorned into a caricature of a person rather than given the freedom of self-expression. If you adopt a certain aesthetic like kawaii or bohemian, you are automatically seen as strange versus soft and feminine like white counterparts. These games allow us to present ourselves in any way that we'd like, and there's no societal biases or expectations to tell us that we're not as deserving. To be able to see the same reactions and treatment of these characters no matter how they choose to present themselves is huge. In these worlds, we are accepted, and that in and of itself is incredibly powerful. Cozy games can and do come in many different art styles, but there is a distinct pattern between all of these games. They are bursting with vibrant colors and have an almost childlike feel to them. At first glance, you would think that the only player base is that of young kids, but in fact, a lot of adults with jobs, responsibilities, and children of their own gravitate towards these games as well. Unfortunately, roughly 57% of Black children grow up without a father in the home, and a meager 28% of Black women are actually married, meaning that there are very few Black children that get to experience a traditional family unit. This facilitates an environment where they have to grow up a lot faster than other kids. I personally was the oldest of 3 in a single parent household and subsequently had to become a caretaker and worry about a lot of things that a small child shouldn't have to. And I know that there are a lot of other Black people that can relate to this sentiment as well. Since reality didn't provide an environment to be a child, we sought solace in the games that we play. Perhaps this is why we gravitate towards these vibrant and cheerful colors with its soft playing music and wacky stories. As adults, in a way, it helps heal our inner child, whether we actively realize it or not. If you want to dress yourself in pretty pink overalls with blue hair, then god damn it, you can do that. And you look beautiful. Part of inner child healing is also about stability, and that's exactly what these kinds of games offer you. They are built on repetitive loops: sleep, wake up, garden, collect, repeat. It's predictable, but at the same time rewarding, and if you fail in some way, maybe you didn't earn enough money to upgrade your planters, you always know that the next day will come and you'll get another chance. And why does this matter? Because representation is not just about looks, it's about the way that these games allow us to be. Gameplay is the meat and potatoes of any farm simulation game. Instead of more traditional games where there is an obvious villain and boss battles to complete, you're the new person arriving in a small town and you're taking over a rundown farm. There are many other citizens in town with their own roles and interests, and it's up to you to turn this quaint little world into a thriving community for both you and the residents by collecting, fishing, gardening, doing quests, etc. The main objective is to help the town overcome its downfalls and turn your trash and weeds-ridden ranch into a beautiful and profitable space. Contrary to what I just said, Coral Island does in fact have an obvious villain in the game. There is a company called Pufferfish Corporation that threatens to force the town to cooperate with them so they can turn their island into an oil facility. Once the town is ranked C in popularity, Karen, the corporation's CEO, attempts to run for mayor, leading the player to step up and oppose them. But outside of the main plot, it follows the same tropes from other farm simulation games like Stardew Valley and Harvest Moon. There's a beautiful landscape and map with much to be discovered. The first thing that comes to mind as to why we gravitate towards cozy games is the fact that not only are we pigeonholed into stereotypes and culturally shown that we are on the lesser of a hierarchy, Black women are also served this very real detriment that is often served to us as a compliment: the strong Black woman trope. Referencing the article When Being Strong Hurts, written by Cynthia Nicole White from University of South Carolina, quote, "The strong Black woman is one who overcomes all obstacles, remains strong despite problems, and sacrifices herself for others." Nearly every Black person, but Black women in particular, will ultimately be told at some point or another that we are strong and that we should hold on to that like a badge of honor. Only this philosophy directly opposes who we are at our core, human beings with our own feelings, nuances, and pain that we have to carry around. While having personal strength can be a positive thing, we also crave and have the necessity to be soft. And by praising how well we can take a hit and keep a smile on our faces, it is only further perpetuating this very dangerous cycle of pushing down our pain. Cozy games allow the opportunity to be able to see a version of ourselves perceived in a good light. You're picking turnips and catching butterflies or creating your own stories just like everybody else. It creates a state of belonging. Here, we don't receive judgment, fear being alienated, or placed under expectations. In a world that doesn't offer much comfort, this is the ultimate place to be comfortable. Closing thoughts here, I want to say that not every Black person is going to relate to my sentiments here. If it's genuinely not that deep for you and you simply just have a love of cozy games, that is 100% valid, and I will never take that away from you. On the other side of the coin, all races and genders can feel the exact same things that I've mentioned here. It is not solely reserved for Black people. So maybe cozy games aren't just escapism. Maybe they're a tool to let us rewrite the world that lets us finally rest. What did you think of my theory? Do you think that your identity somehow plays a part in how you experience cozy games? And if you'd like to watch me play my favorite cozy games, you can follow me on twitch.tv/SimSiga, where I stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. This is SimSiga, where we use gaming as soul food. I will see you guys in the next one.
But I can't wait for you to call me on the telephone, and I can't wait